Okay, so here we have the continuation in the reading order of the House of X and Powers of X series. This is Powers of X number 3, following directly the events of Powers of X number 2. Now, this, of course, is a little bit more the same in what you can expect Powers of X to be, and that's kind of showing the things that have been going on throughout the different timelines that they're doing. Like I said before, they did, like, you know, the first year of X-Men, then 10 years, which is supposed to be the current time, present, and then you have 100 years in the future, and then 1,000 years in the future. Now, of course, the whole thing that they're trying to do, seemingly, is basically make sure that mutant kind survives its extinctions at the hands of what seems to be the inevitable. There's a little bit of a Terminator going on with that, with the whole... you know how in the Terminator movies, Skynet is apparently inevitable. No matter what they do, Skynet will always be a thing. Well, it seems like that's kind of... Jonathan Hickman kind of drew a little bit of inspiration from the Terminator series with the whole thing with Nimrod. You know, Nimrod seems to be inevitable no matter what. And as we saw, that's already been established, Magneto and Xavier are trying their best to mitigate, to make sure that still doesn't happen somehow. Now, in this future here, as we see, and I believe this is the 100 years in the future, there's these zealots. It starts off with these zealots, these kind of extreme religious zealots that see mutant kind. You know, they put them on this pedestal, and they use this kind of like techno-organic virus. I want to say similar to like how, I don't know if it's the same kind of thing that we saw with Cable, or if it's like, I forget what Warlock, what the race of his people are, that they're kind of like that techno-organic type of, they have that kind of techno-organic virus. I don't know if that's what that is, but we see them start off here, you know, trying to make a point by marking this kid and stuff, and then the X-Men of this time, I guess, show up. So it's, you know, Magneto, Zorn, and Rasputin, and I forget this guy's name, but I guess he's like a descendant of Nightcrawler. She's a descendant, obviously, of Colossus, I would think, because of the organic sin. But they kind of, here, Jonathan Hickman kind of shows like where they all kind of descend from a little bit, like showing a little bit of a family tree, I guess you could say, like with this ones that descended, I guess, somehow from Apocalypse. They talk about his new Horsemen. Of course, no surprise if you see the one to the furthest here, because this did happen in the comics at some point in time where Wolverine became the Horseman of War. But in the future, this 100-year point in the future, they're all kind of led by Apocalypse here. No mention of what has happened to Xavier. I would assume that he probably died, but Magneto is still around, and obviously Wolverine is still around. So they haven't given specifics on that yet. And as you see, here's Nimrod doing what he's, you know, trying to do, is making sure that his plans and agenda take place. And what's cool, what ends up happening is that Nimrod and Apocalypse get into it, and it's a pretty interesting bout there. It's just like, I guess it's one of those dream bouts between villains that you would want to see. And Apocalypse, man, he gets worked, man. He gets worked pretty well by Nimrod. Now, he's doing this in order to buy them time, because I guess they're going to go... He's doing it to buy time in order to wake up Moira McTaggart and, you know, just have this whole thing and see... I guess she's the key to everything. At least that's the way they had made it seem from the beginning. But then this happens, right? Where she's woken up, and the whole point of this, apparently, the whole point was to wake her up, to have Wolverine kill her so that she can reincarnate again, you know, with the knowledge. Because as you know, and it's already been established in past issues, every time she reincarnates with the knowledge of all the previous things that had happened before. So I'm wondering if this is what triggered the reincarnation, where she goes back and she tells Xavier that she's a mutant and all that. If this was the one, that hasn't been, I'm sure that will be revealed if it is or isn't, or if this is one of the other timelines. But I'm thinking that maybe this is it. Maybe this is the one that leads back to her first telling Xavier when she first meets him that she's a mutant, letting him read her mind, and what sets the events that lead up until what's going on in House of X in the present. I'm guessing that's the case, but I could be completely wrong. They might pull the whole bait and switch there. And again, he shows the lives of Moira McTaggart, the timelines, the key events that happened in those years of her life, and it's just I won't go too much further there because it felt like a shorter read than the previous ones, but it's decent. It's decent. I didn't find this one to be as hard to read as previous issues of Powers of X, where it didn't feel as disjointed because they didn't go and jump around to all the different timelines like they normally do. They kind of really stuck around the 100 years in the future part, which I think is probably going to be the most crucial to the story outside of just what's going on in present and maybe the past. Is, the first year, the 10 years in the future, and then the 100 years in the future, I think are the key things. And I think what the 1,000 years in the future thing is kind of just showing more or less an aftermath that is, the potential aftermath of everything. But I think that the most crucial ones to the story are going to be those three. Year 1, 10 years, 100 years. Could be completely wrong, but that's what I'm thinking after reading these or reading up to this point so far. So it's decent read. Artwork, of course, is great. I think the person who to get to the artwork here. Let me look at this real quick because I don't think it's the same person doing it for all of them. What's his name? Let me take a look here. Silva. Yeah, I mean, it's been great so far. I think that's one of the better things about the series is I think the artwork complements the writing very well. But overall, yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about this one. I think I like this one a little bit more than the previous issue of Powers of X. There's another one coming out this Wednesday, which I believe is House of X number 3, if I'm not mistaken, and as per the reading order. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes and what takes place there. So anyways, let me know what you guys think of this video in the comment section below. If you have any recommendations, as always, please also let me know. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe, like the video, and I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and the hunt continues.